The next race will be for Montgomery County Republican Party Chair. Gwen Withrow, our incumbent party chair, is unable to be here tonight. Her husband had a medical emergency doctor's appointment. According to the Texas Secretary of State website, the duties of the county chairman include the following: serves on the County Election Commission, serves on the County Election Board, provides a list of judges for appointment by Commissioner's Court, provides a list of potential election day clerks for general election for state and county officers, provides a list of early voting workers, appoints judges for the primary election, appoints poll workers for elections with the party nominee on the ballot. Scott, I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions, if you don't mind. We have been telling people who don't have opponents present that they can just speak for 3 minutes, but I think the members of the voting population would like to hear your answer to some of the questions. How do you plan to increase voter engagement? Montgomery County is a red state county, but our voter turnout is quite low. So how do you plan to do that?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say I hope you'll pray for Gwen's husband, Bob. He has a serious neck injury, and we should all keep him in our prayers, and I hope that he recovers well from that. I'm sorry that she couldn't be here tonight. How do we increase voter engagement? Well, for one thing, we can do what we know works. What worked for 60 years before, until just this last biennium, as you heard Representative Metcalf talk about, when we decided that the party should, well, my opponent has decided the party should act like a pack and put their thumb on the scale and try to kick people off the ballot and try to deny resources to the party in the primary and interfere in the primary. We can stop doing that. That's a new thing. We didn't do that before. But what we also used to do, and that I've been around for a long time, under Dr. Wally, we used to do voter registration drives. Some of you in this room, I've worked tents with for the last 20 years, standing at the Conroe Fish Festival, Catfish Festival, different events around the county, with voter registration and an open hand saying, hi, welcome to Montgomery County. We're the Republican Party of Texas, and we're the Republican Party of Montgomery County. This is who we are. These are our values. Please come and vote for us. Please be a part of the Republican Party. Come and volunteer. Come and help. Come and work with us. It worked. Montgomery County didn't suddenly become the reddest county in the last 18 months. In fact, before the year 2000, we were a blue county in a blue state. What changed it? Dr. Wally Wilkerson, the county chair for 52 years, with an open hand saying, be a part of this party. And you know who else did? The Republican women's groups. This is the first one in the county, isn't it? This is the first Republican women's group in the county. Absolute boots on the ground, volunteer labor force. I can't even imagine we must be at 1 million man hours in volunteer time of the Republican Women Group. And in the last few years, my opponent and a lot of her supporters have said, we don't like them. They're not useful. They're terrible. In fact, 2 of the clubs were almost denied access to the headquarters just last year. That's unacceptable. We need to be thankful for our Republican women's groups. We need to work with them. Engage the voters. There's also a lot of new things we can do. It's not just doing the old things. We can do what we know works, but we can also modernize the party. We need to be involved in data. I do engineering for a living. I know data analysis. I know how to look at the things. We actually are falling behind in our new voter turnout. Everybody here knows that Montgomery County is growing like crazy. In a couple of months, we're supposed to hit 470,000 voters. Dr. Wally averaged 75% of new voters turning out to the polls every presidential election. Gwen's predecessor, he got to 109. Part of that was COVID, no question. But he got to 109%. It means he turned out every new voter in the county and then some. Last election, less than 45% of the new voters turned out.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Unity.
There's somebody else to talk.
Oh.
I can do Clint Eastwood.
I don't sing and dance. Okay. Unity is a big issue with the Montgomery County Republican Party. Unity is defined as the state of being one, united or in agreement, often described as oneness, harmony, or concord. Mr. Baker, do you think the party is more, Mrs. Withrow has said that the party is more united under her leadership. Do you think the party is more united under Mrs. Withrow's leadership? Give examples of why you think this way, and what have you done to help achieve unity in the party, and what do you plan to do to increase unity if you were elected?
The party is not unified. It's unquestionably true. If you go sit at the meetings, yes, everybody's sitting in the same room now. The group that is returned when Gwen Withrow won refused to meet under the duly elected county chair, Brian Christ. That's a simple fact. They actually created a second organization. Now that they won their last election, whether you like it or not, Gwen is the duly elected county chair. The folks that stayed with the duly elected county chair are staying with the duly elected county chair. We are very consistent. We're dedicated to the party, to helping the party, to working, to engaging the voters. It's just simply not true that the party is unified right now. In fact, the minority gets no say. We don't have a single committee chairmanship at all. And in fact, if you want to be a precinct chair in Montgomery County right now, you have to go through the chairman of the vacancy committee. She is a gatekeeper. And she asks questions, or as some of the people on the committee ask questions like, do you know Scott Baker? If you know Scott Baker, you probably can't be a precinct chair in Montgomery County. Do you support Will Metcalf? If you say yes, you can't be a precinct chair in Montgomery County. That's a fact. Multiple reports of people being asked these absurd questions that are volunteering their time, showing up saying, I want to be a precinct chair. Their thumb is on the scale. They are affecting our primary elections. And if you wonder why our voter turnout is being impacted now, it's because there is division. Because we have spent the last year, at least, entirely focused on internal warfare in the party, demonizing other Republicans, instead of gearing up to have boots on the ground and do our voter turnout effort. I want to stop that. I want to change that back to where we stop putting our thumb on the scale as a party, where we are neutral in the primary and we support all of our general election candidates. The Democrats are coming. If you're not aware of it, if you haven't ever analyzed the data, the simple fact is, as we become more dense in our population, that gives the Democrats a ground game advantage. That's true, whether you like it or not. We have to be gearing up for a modern party using what we know works and what has worked for 60 years. That means getting out in the community. Stop being in back rooms. Stop trying to machinate who's going to be on the ballot, and get out and recruit the voters. Because what they're doing and what my opponent is doing says strongly, she doesn't trust you, the voters. That's what it says. That's what it means when they try to pick and choose winners. They don't trust you because you chose Cecil Bell Jr. You chose Will Metcalf overwhelmingly. And they don't like that.
Thank you.
The Conroe ISD Board of Trustees election is considered to be a nonpartisan election. However, in a recent School Board of Trustees election, there were Republican candidates running in opposition to each other. The Montgomery County Republican Party chose to make endorsements in those races, even though they endorsed one Republican over another. Was this a wise decision, in your opinion?
No. No. Simple answer. It's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. As I've advocated, I'm on the candidates committee. I'm one of the few minority people that are on a committee. I'm on the candidates committee. They usually don't like what I have to say, because what I say is we should gather all the information and give it to the voters. My vote's not worth more than yours. There's not a single precinct chair who has a vote that's worth more than yours. That's the way it should be. We're not a super majority. We're not a super, what do they call it, super delegate, right? That's what the Democrats do. They have super delegates so that somebody can go put their thumb on the scale and outweigh the other regular voters. I'm in the Republican Party, not the Democrat Party. And we believe in the voters. That's why my campaign slogan is let the voters decide, because that's what I want it to do. I want us to get back to being neutral in the primary, and we should get all the information together and get it to the voters. Here's who's running. Here's the issues. I want to connect our candidates and our issues to the voters so that y'all can make the most informed choice. Whether you want to choose who I like or not is irrelevant. Like I said, my vote is not worth more than yours, and neither is theirs.
The members of the Republican Women's Clubs in Montgomery County are prohibited from making endorsements in contested races where there is more than one Republican in a race. So in a primary, for example. This prohibited the Republican women as a club from handing out information at the voting locations for the Montgomery County Republican Party at the last election because there were endorsements of one Republican over another. So do you plan, as chairman, to revisit that policy? Which basically answered.
Yes, absolutely. As I've already said, I think we should not be in the business of endorsing one candidate over another in the primary. And in the nonpartisan elections, what I would invite any of the candidates to do is you should be proud to be a Republican. And if everybody on the ticket is a Republican, then we'll put everybody out there and say, look at your Republican candidates. I'd be happy to say that. Look, we've got a lot of great Republicans. We've got races where we got two really good candidates going against each other. That's a tough call to make. That's up to you to make that decision. My vote's private, and my vote is just one vote. So is yours. And yours matters a lot to me. It's as simple as that. And in the nonpartisan races, in case you're not aware, the reason it's called a nonpartisan race is because there's no primary before that. The primary election is so that the Republican Party can choose our candidate. The Republican voters, not the CEC, not the county executive committee or the county chair, right? So that the Republican voters can choose their candidate to run against the Democrat in the general election. With a local, nonpartisan election, you don't have that process. So there may be 3 Republicans, there may be 1 Democrat, there may be 1 independent, and 1 Republican. You never know until the election comes up.
Okay. The county, you get lots of questions. The county executive committee recently voted that Representative Cecil Bell and Representative Will Metcalf will be prohibited from placing campaign material at the Montgomery County Republican Party headquarters because of their vote for the Speaker of the House. Do you support that decision, and does that decision give an unfair advantage to their opponents in these races?
I absolutely do not support that decision. I've actually made a lot of videos about it. Some of y'all might have seen. I actually have some details over there on that table about the fact that the censure did not pass. My opponent keeps saying, stop talking. I'm not kidding. I've spoken about this. I've raised this as a point of order in our meetings and said, Madam Chairman, we need to correct the record. The bylaws are clear. It required 2/3 vote to pass that censure effort. It was introduced under bylaw 11.03. It required 2/3 to pass. It did not pass. It did not meet the test. Therefore, you can't impose any penalties, nor should we. I want to delete that bylaw entirely because it's nonsense, first of all. But second of all, it didn't pass. It's simple math. I do engineering for a living. I'm pretty good at math. This is simple math, and it did not pass. And every time the folks over on this side of the room, some of them are there, that have said, you're a liar. You know what my question is? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'll do Charlie Kirk here, right? I love Charlie Kirk. He wasn't afraid to talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody who disagrees with me, anybody that agrees with me. Prove me wrong. It's simple math. I got all the documents over there. I can prove it. I could prove it in a court of law.
Okay. Go sit at the table and look at that diagram that's on your table.
Do I get a rebuttal? Oh.
Maybe you don't agree with what you just said. If you will notice the flyer on the table, there you will see an illustration depicting the mission of the Texas Federation of Republican Women and the local clubs under the guidelines of the National Federation of Republican Women. This organizational chart, the The National Federation of Republican Women, the state federations of Republican women, and the local Republican women's clubs are autonomous and separate from the Republican National Committee, the Republican Party of Texas, and the Montgomery County Republican Party. Our primary mission is to support the principles of the Republican Party, to train and educate our members, to volunteer for campaigns, and to elect Republicans. The illustration points out the mission of the Republican Party to be recruiting candidates, getting out the vote, financially supporting campaigns, maintaining voter lists, and conducting elections. The missions of the Republican Women's Club and the Republican Party are not the same. How do you envision the local Republican Women's Clubs and the Montgomery County Republican Party achieving their respective missions in Montgomery County under your chairmanship of the Montgomery County Republican Party? That's a lot of words.
That was a lot. Yeah, that was a whole lot. Well, I mean, obviously, we should be partnering with y'all every opportunity we can and everywhere there is an overlap. That's part of what unifies the party, right? Is that our shared values are so strong. You know, Ronald Reagan, I grew up under Ronald Reagan. He was my president. You know, I love Ronald Reagan, great communicator, what a great guy. He said, if you're with me 80% of the time, we should be friends. The simple fact is, we agree on 80, 90% of the issues. We should be able to come together and work on those. If we focus on those, we'll have a whole lot less division in the party. That's as simple as that. And we'll have a lot more opportunities to work together in the local events. Like I said, y'all have been staffing events forever. Y'all used to staff the gala, staffing the headquarters. The current chairman has a hard time staffing headquarters. Why? Because they've run off a lot of the good volunteers. It's as simple as that. They've run off the volunteers because the people that showed up and said they wanted to volunteer, a lot of them were looked at and said, are you a real Republican? Are you a rhino? The term rhino means nothing at this point because it's been so many people have been accused of being a rhino. Nobody can accuse me of being a rhino. I've been a Republican since I was about that tall. My dad was a precinct chair in Clear Lake where I grew up, and I helped him do elections, helped him block walk, helped him with candidates and campaigns. He was the precinct chair in my precinct whenever I started helping with the party, and I helped him. We have legacy here in Montgomery County, and if we want to keep it, we have to work together. We have to engage every opportunity we can, every overlap. And then we need to make sure that we draw clear lines where there's separate responsibilities, including endorsing.
That concludes your questions.
Thank you.